Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Joy's Fashion World. In today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful 6-pieces skirt you are seeing. If this is what you want to learn how to sew, you definitely have to keep on watching till the end. To my returning subscribers, thank you for coming back, and if you are new here, you are highly welcome. Please kindly join this family by liking, commenting, and also subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to click on the notification bell to get notified whenever I drop a new video. So let's get started. So this is the fabric I'll be using. It's an Ankara print fabric and I'm having 6 here, so I'll be using part of it to cut out the skirt. Before we start, let's know what a 6-pieces skirt is. So I've gone ahead to sketch it, and this is the front part. So for the front part, we have 3 pieces. This is 1, 2, 3, and this is the back side. The back we have 4 pieces. That's because of the zipper at the back. So let's get into cutting. The measurements you'll be needing are: we have the length, which I'll be using 42 inches, the hip of 43 inches, and the waist of 34 inches. You'll also be needing your bust band, which mine is 8 inches. So you'll be dividing your hip by 4 and also your waist by 4. And for the front piece, we won't be using our actual hip measurement. So you minus 2 inches from your actual hip measurement, which is 43 minus 2 will give us 41. So that's our new front hip circumference. That's what we'll be using in cutting out the front piece. So let's do that. So the first thing you need to do is to fold your fabric into 2, and the amount to place on fold is how wide you want the down part of your skirt to be. That's the flare part. So I use 11 inches on fold, as you can see. So we'll first cut out the center front. The next thing you want to do is to mark out the length of your skirt. So from the down part of your fabric, which will serve as the down part of our skirt, you place your tape there and you mark your length, which is 42 inches for the skirt length I'm working with, and you mark it out. After marking, you do a straight line across it, and that line will serve as our waistline. So from the waistline, you mark your hip line, which is 9 inches, and 18 inches for your knee line, which is 2 inches above your knee line, and you roll across with a straight line as seen. And that is our waistline, hip line, and the knee line. Now is to input our measurement, and in this case we'll be using our bust band. The bust band I'm working with is 8 inches, divided by 2 is 4, and I added ½ inch for stitching allowance. So I marked that 4½ inch on the waistline and also on the hip line. While on the knee line, I mark 4 inches. That is because we want to have that figure 8 shape. So you mark it that way and you connect the points together. After connecting the points together, from the knee line, you connect it down to meet the 11 inches at the down part of our skirt with a slant line as seen. Sorry, I'm using my tape to draw my line. If you have a long ruler, you can go ahead and use that. So this is it after drawing my slant line from the knee line to the down part of the skirt. So from the edge, you go up with 1 inch to remove sharp edge, and you curve it that way. So this is what we have, and that's all for the center front. Next is to cut it out. After cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. So now we'll be using it to cut out the 2 side fronts. Let's do that. In order to do that, we'll also fold our fabric into 2. That's because we'll be cutting the 2 side fronts together. So you fold your fabric into 2, and the wideness is going to be 22 inches. That's because it's open, it's not going to be on fold. So 11 by 2, when you open it, is 22. That's why your fold should be 22 inches. After folding, you place the center front on it, ensuring that it's straight. Make sure it's straight before you cut out the side. So after ensuring that it's straight, you cut out the side following the center front exactly. After cutting, the next thing you want to do is to pick the center front and you place it ½ inch on the side. After placing it, the next thing you want to do is to rule your waistline from where the center front starts. That is your waistline. You also mark your hip line of 9 inches and your knee line of 18 inches, and you connect with a straight line. Arrange the center front properly. Make sure that it's ½ inch on the side before you take your measurement. After arranging, now the next thing we want to do is to input our body measurement. So on the waistline, you mark your waist circumference divide by 4 plus 2-inch seam allowance. And on the hip line, we'll mark out our new hip measurement, which is 41 inches. You remember we minus 2 inches, and that's only for the front hip. So you divide your 41 by 4 plus 2-inch seam allowance. After doing that, you also overlap the knee area with half of an inch. And what you got on the hip line, you minus 1 inch and you mark it on the knee line. That is because we want to have the figure 8 shape. After which you connect the points together. So as I was connecting, I noticed that it's not really giving me the figure 8 shape I want. So I went ahead to also minus ½ inch on the nail line and I connect it together. After connecting the points together, keep the center front aside. And on the down part of your skirt, you mark out your 22 inches. That's because it's open, it's not unfold. So you mark out the 22 inches. And from the knee line, you connect it down with a slant line to meet the 22 inches you mark as seen. And you cut it out. After cutting, you bring the center front and you place it on the side in order to cut out the down part to remove the sharp edge, and you cut it out. And that is basically all for the cutting of the front piece, and you can see this is what we have after we are done. This is what the front piece is going to look like, and we'll be using it to cut out the back. So let's do that. So we'll be cutting the center back first, and in order to do that, you place your fabric on fold. And if you notice, the position of our flare do changes in all our cutting, and that's because we are managing our fabric. But if you keep on cutting on one side of the fabric, you will end up wasting lots of fabric. Except if your fabric has pattern, then you can go ahead and cut on one side of your fabric. That's because of the pattern, so you don't alter it. So after folding, you place your center front on it and you leave about 3 inches at the center back. That's for our zipper allowance. The next thing you want to do is to extend your lines. On the hip line, you extend it to the zip area and to the side. You also extend your knee line and also your waistline as seen. So the 2 inches we took out from the front hip, will be replacing it on the back. So on the side, you mark ½ inch, and on the zipper area, you also mark ½ inch. After which, you connect from the ½ inch back to the knee line and to the waistline as seen. And for our zip allowance, we'll be making use of 2 inch. So I mark 2 inch on the waistline, and on the hip line, I mark 2 inch plus that ½ inch, which is 2½ inch. And on the knee line, also mark my 2 inch and I connect it as seen. So you connect the point together. And if you want to have a tail inset when folding, you can go ahead to add some inches, like about 6 inches. But for the sake of this tutorial, I will be leaving it like that. So I connect it straight and I will cut it out. After cutting, you notch the zipper area and you also notch the side in order for you to know the side you will be joining together. So now let's cut out the back side. Fold your fabric by 2 again. Now we want to cut out the 2 back side. So let's do that. Fold your fabric properly. Make sure that the wideness is 22 inches. Next is to place the side front on your folded fabric and you arrange it properly. So now is to extend our hip line, and we'll be extending it to the side towards the boot area and not on the other side as seen. So after which, you mark ½ inch and you also extend your knee line and your waistline also. After which, from that ½ inch, you connect it back to the waistline and back to the nail line. And that is basically all we'll be doing on the side back. After which, you cut out. And with this, we have come to the end of the cutting, and this is what our back piece is looking like. So I'll go ahead and cut out my lining off camera in order to save time, and I will show you. So after cutting the lining, this is what it's looking like. So I cut it exactly the same as my fabric. It's now time to stitch it together, so let's head to the sewing machine. Alright, you are welcome to the sewing machine. So the first thing we want to do is to join our front piece together. So you pick the center front and one side of the front piece and you join it right side facing each other. You align it properly, make sure the place we notch when cutting are together. You mark your ½ inch and you stitch it down to the hemline. After stitching, cut out the thread for a neat finish and you notch the knee line that way. So the next thing you want to do is to bring the other side and you align it together. Make sure you are placing it right side facing each other and you mark your ½ inch all the way to the hemline and you stitch it down. Always ensure to cut out your thread for a professional look, and you also notch the knee line in order for it to relax well. So we are done joining the front piece, and this is what it's looking like after joining. You can see what we have already. So the next thing you want to do is to join the back piece together. So you pick one piece of the center back and one piece of the side back and you align them together, placing it right side facing each other. You can see the place we notch when cutting are together. So you place them together and you mark your ½ inch and you sew it all along to the hem of the fabric. Cut your thread, notch the nail line, and you can see this is what we have after sewing it together. You can see the effect on the boot area. You can see that boot effect, the boot contour. So this is what it's looking like. This is what yours should be looking like. So the next thing we want to do is to also join the other side. That is the other center back and the side back together, just the way we did for the first one. After stitching, this is what we have. So I stitched the back separately. I also went ahead to join my fabric off camera. So I joined it the same way I did to my fabric, and this is the front piece. So I'll be using it to turn my fabric. You place it right side facing each other and you stitch it down with ½ inch, and that is the waistline. So you place it that way, align the fabric and the lining together and you stitch it down with ½ inch. When you get to the stitch area, you open your seam that way and you continue stitching to the end. Once you are done stitching the waistline, you flip the excess to the lining side and you top stitch on the lining. Always ensure to cut out excess thread. So this is the down part of our skirt. You align the fabric and the lining together and you stitch with ½ inch. You stitch it all through. After stitching, you flip it over and you top stitch on the lining as seen. Once you are done with that, you also join the side of the skirt with 0.25 inches as seen. So you sew it all the way to the hemline. You also stitch the other side with 0.25 inch, but this time around we won't be stitching it to the hem. We'll leave an opening in which we are going to use to turn out the fabric. After stitching, you can see that is our opening and we're going to use it to turn the fabric inside out, that is right side out. So I'll do that and I'll show you. After turning it right side out, this is what we have. This is what our front piece is looking like. So the next thing we want to do, you can see that is our opening, so you just stop stitch on it, okay? And voila, that's all for our front piece. We are done with the front piece. So let's also turn the back piece with our lining. This is one side of our back piece, so you bring the lining and you place it right side facing each other and you stitch with 1/2 inch, and we are stitching the waistline first. After stitching, cut out the excess thread for a professional look and you flip the excess to the lining side and you top stitch on it as seen. Cut your thread. It's now time to join the down part of our skirt. So you align the fabric and the lining together and you stitch it down with 1/2 inch throughout. Once you are done stitching, flip it over and you top stitch on it. So we'll also be joining the side with 0.25 inch, just the way we did on the front piece. So you stitch one side to the hemline, while on the other side you leave an opening which will enable us to turn the fabric inside out. After turning right side out, you can see this is what it's looking like, and on the open area we are going to top stitch on it just the way I'm doing. Alright, so I'll also do same on the other side of camera. So after I was done, this is what it's looking like. The next thing you want to do is to join the two back sides together. So you place it right side facing each other. You mark out your zip allowance of 1.75. Initially when cutting it was 2 inches, but we have used 0.25 to turn the lining, so we are left with 1.75. You mark it from the waistline to the knee line, and from the knee line you cover it that way, just the way I'm doing, to the hemline with 1/2 inch as seen, and you stitch along the line. After stitching, you notch the knee area slightly, just the way I did, and that is all for our back piece. We are done joining the back piece together. Yeah, you can see what it's looking like. You can see our boot contour. You can see the boot area is looking nice already. So the next thing we want to do is to shape our skirt. So this is our front and our back piece placed together, right side facing each other, and this is me trying to pin it in order to hold it in place. So I pin it at some spots in order to hold it in place, after which we shape our skirt. Once Once you are done pinning, the next thing you want to do is to input your measurement. So the first thing you need to do is to mark your hip line and your knee line so that you know where you will place your measurement. So I mark my hip line at 9 inch and my knee line of 18 inches, after which I input my measurement. So you divide your waist measurement by 2, which is 34 by 2, and you mark it out. You also divide your hip circumference by 2, which is 43 by 2, and you also mark it out. And on the knee line, what you got on the hip line, you minus 1.5 inch from it and you mark it on the knee line as seen. So just watch what I'm doing and you will understand. After doing that, next is to connect the points together. So you connect from the waistline to the hip line and from the hip to the knee line. You also do same on the other side. You connect the points together from the waistline to the hip line and from the hip line to the knee line as seen. After which, on the knee line, so you connect it to the hemline. From the knee line, you connect it with 1/2 inch to the hemline as seen. After shaping, this is what it's looking like. So now is to take it to our sewing machine. I'll stitch along the line. So you stitch along the line on both sides from the waist to the hemline. After stitching, you notch the knee line slightly in order for it to relax well when we turn it to the right side. So you also stitch the other side from the waistline to the hemline. After stitching it, you notch the knee area so that it relaxes properly when we turn it to the right side. So after notching, you remove your pins and you cut out excess thread for a neat finish. After that, you turn it to the right side. So this is what is looking after turning it to the right side. You can see our skirt is almost ready. The next thing you want to do is to fix your zipper. So let's do that. In order to do that, so from the waistline, you mark 9 inches downward, which will serve as our zipper length. So you mark it that way. Then you loose the stitches from the waistline to the 9 inches we mark. So after that, pick out the thread so that your work will be neat. Once you are done with that, bring in your zipper and you place it that way, just the way I'm doing, and then you stitch it down. So with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching till the end. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube can recommend this video to lots of people. And also leave a comment in the comment section. If there's anything you don't understand, if there's anything you don't get, you can ask me in the comment section. And also, most importantly, please subscribe to my channel and also click on the notification bell to get notified whenever I drop a new video. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Stay safe. And this is what our skirt is looking like. You can see the final look. Our skirt is looking beautiful. So thank you. Stay safe and bye.